Hello and welcome to Matchday 22 of Championship Predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, it's Daniel Cody and Charlie Betts. Let's have a quick review of the Boxing Day fixtures from the Championship. And it was a hat-trick of perfect scores for Charlie. It's the first time he's hit a perfect score at least since Matchday 16. Other than that for Charlie, he didn't do anything else. He just got 3 perfect scores on the other hand. Danny Coach was just behind. He got 2 perfect scores. He got it for Blackburn versus Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry versus Stoke, which both ended in draws. And I didn't get any perfect scores. There were 2 games called off, Bournemouth versus Millwall and Middlesbrough versus Rotherham. They were postponed because of COVID. So overall, Charlie Betts wins Matchday 21 with 9, Cody 8, myself 5. So the table looks like this. I move up to 149 with 26 perfect scores. Cody closes the gap to 143. With 22 perfect scores, and Charlie goes up to 118 with 17 perfect scores. There are 11 fixtures so far for this midweek edition of the Championship. Millwall versus Watford is postponed because of COVID in the Millwall ranks. So let's start off with the first game. It's Birmingham City versus Derby. Wayne Rooney lost for the first time as a caretaker manager. Birmingham stopped the rot of 3 straight defeats, Codes.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate for Derby, actually, because they did well to hang on after an early red card it was Martin Wycombe, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a red card.
It was a red card, and Preston obviously nicked it in the very last moment, which took another point away from us towards Craig, because, they're the sort of things he does late on in games.
Craig Savage time.
But, it's basically Fergie time himself, isn't he? Birmingham away from home at Forest, a 0-0 draw. They haven't won in 4 now. Just as Charlie said, they were turning the corner, and I agreed with him. And now look what's happened. But they were back to defensive soundness. A 0-0 draw, and it probably... I reckon this is Karanka's last game if he loses. I'm going to be bold on this. They've got the 3rd worst home record in the league. They've only won 2 home games all season. Derby are much better away from home than they are at home. So I'm either going for 0-0 or 1-0 to Derby. I'm going to go 1-0 to Derby, and that's not what I was going to do 2 minutes ago.
So for the first time, I haven't actually made any predictions down. Normally I do beforehand.
You're winging it like us.
I am winging it like you guys for the first time, and that was actually what the guys... I was like going to go for 0-0 or 1-0 to Derby. I said Birmingham's positive thing is they kept a clean sheet. Derby, on the hand, obviously Waghorn not playing now. That does dry up the goals, even though he hasn't really been scoring lately. I'm going to go for the Championship favourite scoreline. I'm going to go for 1-1.
Wow.
Charlie?
Yeah, tough one really, because I think Birmingham have lost the last 3 at home. But like you say, Martin Waghorn probably did seem to be I don't want to use the word potent, but he's obviously a part of that attacking. So I'm going to bottle it. It's not a case of copying. I'm going to go for 0-0. I don't see it's been a great game. I think Karanka is probably aware that his job's on the line, and actually a draw at home is not the worst result. I don't think he'll be too upset with that. Wayne Rooney would take another point given the situation he was in. So I don't think it's the worst result for anyone. So 0-0 for me.
Up next at Hillsborough, it's Sheffield Wednesday versus Middlesbrough. Another point on the board for Tony Pulis, Charlie.
The thing is with Wednesday is they've got such potential. We said that from the beginning of the season. And they were away from home against what can be a very good Blackburn side. You both have seen them live on TV a few times. Blackburn, when they want to play, are a brilliant side. We'll get on to them later on. It's tough to know because Middlesbrough away from home are not great either. If this had been the other way around, I'd have gone for a home win all day, as great as it is for Pulis. Middlesbrough away from home have been terrible at times, but then they did beat Birmingham 4-1, didn't they, recently? So I've got to hold on to that. I think Middlesbrough will be too much I think they're in a bit of a vein of form now. Haven't had a break as well at Christmas. They won't be as leggy. So I'm going to go for Middlesbrough win. They'll only get 1 away from home. 1-0 Middlesbrough.
I'm glad you said 1-0, Charlie, because I'm going to go Middlesbrough to score 2 goals. Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0 to Middlesbrough. Codes.
I actually don't know what Middlesbrough are going to do this time because it's so hard to predict where they've missed a game and they've gone 10 days without now. It's one of the few ones there wasn't a midweek before either. And over the festive period, that can go either way. Sheffield Wednesday, 2 unbeaten. They kept the run going. Lovely to get me a perfect score, so they're becoming one of my favourite sides. Middlesbrough are only averaging a point a game on the road, so I don't know that I can back them. I'm going to stick for this being a bore draw. Pulis will want to keep the unbeaten run going at all costs. Middlesbrough don't score many on the road, taking out the game at Birmingham. So I'm going to go for 0-0.
Up next at the John Smiths, it's Huddersfield Town versus Blackburn. Huddersfield will feel sad that they couldn't hang on to a point against Barnsley. They lost in the 96th minute. Blackburn, on the other hand, they've just been really inconsistent again, Codes.
They have. I mean, it's the last 3 sums it up, doesn't it? Win, loss, draw. They've lost their last 2 away games, which is going to shape my prediction here. They got a good draw at Brentford before that. Huddersfield, we talked about it. Charlie's probably been the advocate of it all season. They are, at home, one of the best teams in the league. They would be 8th on their home form, and on their away form, they're awful. So there's no way of going past a home win, in my eyes, for Huddersfield. It's just what score. And because Blackburn have been so inconsistent, it could be any score. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Huddersfield because that was what they won their last 2 home games by.
Charlie?
I've applied the same logic, but I'm going to flip it. The Blackburn have lost their last 2 away games 1-0, so I'm going to go for that instead to Huddersfield. But yeah, Huddersfield won the last 4 at home. I think it must be frustrating as a manager, a quick side note, to be so Jekyll and Hyde, to be so good at home and then so woeful away from home. Well, I say woeful, they weren't awful yesterday, but do you know what I mean? Just not picking up points. So it must be tough. But on that basis, Blackburn have lost the last 2 away from home 1-0, so it's going to be another 1-0 loss. So 1-0 Huddersfield.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with a Huddersfield win at the moment. 4 straight wins for Huddersfield, as I presume Cody said. I'm going to go for Huddersfield to win as well, which means Blackburn will win. I'm going to go for Huddersfield to win 2-1. Up next at Kenilworth Road is Luton Town versus Bristol City. Luton lost away to Reading. It was a pretty poor game from Luton point of view. Well, first 45 minutes, should I say. Bristol City, they picked up 3 points against Wycombe. Coach, Luton, poor first half. Why do you think Nathan got the right team out?
Well, I think he basically alluded to it post-match, didn't he? As he was trying to save a few of the key players for these home games. And as we sort of predicted when the fans came back, the form would flip and the home form would be better than the away form. The problem is we're behind closed doors again. And as much as we were good against Bournemouth, we didn't look like scoring. There's obviously no fans again this time. Bristol City only just won against Wycombe. I mean, it was a pretty average display. But Bristol City are one of the best away teams in the league. They're in the top 6 on away form, albeit they've lost the last 2 away games. So is that coming to an end? I have absolutely no idea what to go for. So Championship's favourite scoreline, 1-1.
Charlie?
Oh, I'm going to regret this, but I think I'm going to back Luton at home.
Oh dear. There's the defeat.
No, I just, as I say, as you alluded to, their home form has been better recently. The last 2 games Bristol City have lost as well. 1-0 at home to Preston, who we've gotten to later, but Preston's home form can be very erratic. And they lost to Rotherham as well. So I would take a bit of comfort in that. I just think that Luton actually, for whatever reason, it completely flipped. They're now much better at home than they are away. Bristol City, last time they played Wycombe, I'll be honest, it didn't look convincing. 4 shots on target in the whole game and all of that. It wasn't a convincing display for me. So I'm going to back Luton. But Luton do let goals in. I mean, that's one thing. That's the only thing I thought we'll probably all agree on is that Luton won't keep a clean sheet, sadly. 3-1 Luton Town. There you go. I've gone big.
As much as it pains me to say this, one of us is going to guarantee a point. Just from a pure reverse psychology way of whenever I predict Luton to win or to get a point, they do the absolute opposite. I'll take one for the team. I think Bristol City will win this one 2-1. Up next at Carrow Road, it is Norwich City versus Queen's Park Rangers. Norwich City lost for the first time in a while. They lost to Watford in the late game on Boxing Day. QPR still in that poor form, Charlie.
Yeah, the pressure's mounting on Warburton. I don't like being a scaremonger, that kind of thing, but if they carry on as they are, I don't think he's going to have much longer left, which is, you don't want anyone losing their job, but they are getting closer and closer to that relegation zone. And, you'd like to think QPR, as much as they sold some bigger names in the summer, should still have enough. They should have still had enough to keep away from that. And the worrying thing for me is their away form has been absolutely terrible as well. Norwich's home form, they're unbeaten, in the last 5. For me, this has to be a home win. It's just by how many goals. The only thing I would say, I didn't see the game, but, reading reports, Norwich had a lot of possession, a lot of shots, but didn't really look too clinical. 16 shots, 3 on target. Maybe just an off day. So will they come back with a bit of vengeance? I'm banking on that. I don't like saying this because I do actually like Mark Warburton. 3-0 Norwich.
Yeah, I think we'll probably say this is probably the banker for this midweek.
You said it.
I said the B word. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm totally convinced Norwich will want to bounce back straight away from losing to Watford. Yeah, I'm going to say 2-0. I think I've gone for 2-0 for the last 4 or 5 match days in Norwich, but I am going to go for 2-0 Norwich. Coates.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Craig, because I'm doing it for the first ever time, I think. I am copying your scoreline because I can't see anything else. I can't see anything else.
Boo that man!
Look, QPR have won 1 away game all season. They're barely scoring a goal. They're always conceding 1 or 2. It was just whether it was going to be 1 or 2-0 for me. Norwich conceded their only shot on target against them on Boxing Day. Norwich were the better side in general play, but that counts for nothing. The scoreline's everything. But as a result, I think they're going to bounce back in this one. It's not like they fell off a cliff and were awful. So it's going to be 2-0 to Norwich, in my opinion, as well.
Up next at Deepdale, it's Preston North End versus Coventry. Coventry obviously got that 0-0 draw. They are picking up some points now, Charlie.
Yeah, the thing is, I think a lot of them are coming at home. That's one thing I'm just going to say on a side note. Since there's the lockdown, lack of fans, the home form is so important for teams now. You can see it so much more probably this season than most. And I have to go with that. But then it's Preston. I mean, we joked about it in Dan's stream earlier. They are the most unpredictable team in world football, in my opinion, at the minute. I honestly don't know where you go with it. I go for a repeat the other day, 1-0 Preston. And I genuinely have no idea why, because it's just Preston. I cannot give you any logical reason as to why they win that game.
Coates?
I hate to say it, I'm doing it twice in a row. I've got the same score. I've got 1-0 to Preston. Preston have won back-to-back games, and one of them was at home, which makes that all the more remarkable. They've won a home and an away game in succession. Coventry, as Charlie mentioned, 1 win on the road all season. They've only actually picked up 6 points in their 10 games. They don't concede many, though. Only 15 goals let in, which of those sides down there isn't too bad on the road. At home, Coventry are brilliant. I would have backed them, but not today. So Preston 1-0 for me as well.
Yeah, why not? Let's make it a hat-trick of 1-0 victories for Preston's. A bit of tactics going on now.
Let me not lose my 2 points.
Yeah, Preston, obviously, they'll be buoyed by that 1-0 win last minute at Derby. They'll be buoyed by that. Coventry losing Tyler Walker for 6 weeks. 6 weeks, is a blow. A massive blow for them. But yeah, I'm going to go for Preston. 10th in the form table at home, 10th in the form table away from home. So yeah, 1-0 Preston. Makes sense. Up next, it's Rotherham versus Barnsley. It's another Yorkshire derby for Barnsley. We don't know this game's going to go ahead. So at the moment, at the time of recording, this is on a Sunday, the game's going ahead. I'm going to have to go for a Barnsley win, to be honest. As much as Rotherham at home has been pretty good, to be fair. 12th in the form table, 3 wins out of 6. Barnsley, on the other hand, they're getting really close to the playoffs now. So, and they've got that last-minute 2-1 win, which really bugged me up. For points. So, I'm going to go for a Barnsley win. I'm going to go for a Barnsley 2-0 win. Charlie?
If it goes ahead, I think Rotherham are just in an awful run. It's a shame because I do actually quite like them. They play a bit of guts in a weird way, in the sense of they don't sort of hide behind trying to defend and all that. So, but I just think they'll get picked off, to be honest. I'm going to have to go 2-1 Barnsley. I'm not convinced the game will go ahead. But even when it gets replayed, I'll still stick with that. So 2-1 Barnsley.
Coates?
I've gone for the complete opposite, you'll be pleased to know. I've gone for a Rotherham win. Rotherham at home are better than away. It's their bread and butter. They have to pick up points at home. Barnsley are leaky on the road. They've let in 16 goals on the road. They're only averaging just over a point a game on the road as well. So Barnsley, 2/3 of their points have come at home. And they've been brilliant at home since Ishmael's joined. But the game's more important to Rotherham. It sounds stupid to say. I think the game's more important to Rotherham. After not playing for a while, those who have been well will have been rested. So I'm going to go for them to nick it by, I can't see them keeping a clean sheet, 2-1.
Up next at Adams Park, it is Wycombe Wanderers versus Cardiff. This is not going to be the game for the purists. Daniel Cody.
Well, you say that. Between their 2 games on Boxing Day, there were 8 goals. I would argue this could be the one for the purists. There might be a lot of set pieces. There might be a lot of direct play, but I still think there'll be a lot of territory and chances. So I think this will actually be a decent game to watch. For all we say about Wycombe, they haven't picked up enough points. They're starting to really drop again. 4 defeats in 5. Cardiff have lost their last 2 as well, but they're against very good teams in Brentford and Norwich, those who are going to be right up there. I think Craig's predicted top 2, so...
I did.
I don't know what to do with it. Cardiff genuinely have been better on the road this year, ironically, so they've got more points on the road. I have to go for them to nick it, but Wycombe don't really lose by more than 1 now, so I'm going to go for 2-1 again.
Charlie?
It's a tough one. Wycombe had 1 shot on target in the whole game. Cardiff scored 2 goals, only had 3 shots on target. So I don't know. Like you say, the second ball is key, for want of a better phrasing this time. Cardiff do seem to get results. I mean, you look against Brentford. Brentford obviously a good side, but they had much less possession. They only had 6 shots to Brentford's 16 and nearly come out of a draw. So, I think there is something good going on there at Cardiff. What it is, I don't know. And is it pretty? Probably not. But Cardiff will win it. I don't think they'll keep a clean sheet, though, because they do get a little bit leaky. 3-1 Cardiff.
This will be won by set pieces. I don't see anything else. To be fair, this could give credit to Wilkes. He scored from his own half against Brentford.
Incredible goal, that was it.
Incredible goal, but he still lost the game, so it don't really matter now. But yeah, Wycombe, obviously, they're getting found out again. So yeah, I'm going to stick with 3-1 to Cardiff. The final game on Tuesday is at the Bet365 Britannia Stadium. It is Stoke City versus Nottingham Forest. Stoke not scoring away from home, but obviously when they're at home at the Bet365 Italian, they actually do turn on the style codes.
They turn on the style in results. I wouldn't say they do it in terms of goals. It's a +1 goal difference at home. It's an interesting season. If I'd gone 3 weeks ago, I would have gone Stoke to win this 1-0 without a shadow of a doubt. The way Forest are playing now, I'm tempted to go for 0-0 because Forest are just starting to turn a corner. They're not scoring goals still, but they've stopped conceding again. Stoke don't score many. It's just whether Forest can keep them out. I'm going to be very annoyed if it's 1-0 to Stoke, but I'm assuming that Craig will have gone for it. So I'm going for 0-0.
I'm not going to go for 1-0 to Stoke. I was actually going to go for 2-0 to Stoke. Don't know why. I think Forest are heavily relying on January. Well, there was reports in the paper to say that Knockout might be going back to Fulham. But I can see Stoke winning 2-0 convincingly, to be honest. Charlie?
It's tough. Do you know what? Genuinely, Stoke had one shot on target yesterday. I know Coventry are a very good home team, but that's not what I'd expect. Whereas, I mean, Forest, I think it was 8 shots they had on target. You know, they are creating chances, or 6 shots, sorry, 16 attempts, 6 on target. They are creating chances, and you can't keep ignoring that fact. And I keep saying about them turning, but I do trust Michael O'Neill, and this week is not going to be the week. However, next week I'm going to go back in Forest, but I'm going to have to go for the obvious scoreline. Michael O'Neill special, 1-0 Stoke City on the counter-attack.
Let's move on to Wednesday's fixtures and probably arguably the game of Matchday 22. It's Brentford versus Bournemouth. Oh, this could be really, really interesting. Brentford pick up a good 3-2 win at Cardiff. Canos with a hat-trick. Bournemouth didn't obviously get to play because they were supposed to play Millwall. Oh, I don't know. This is perfect for a Championship favourite scoreline of 1-1. Charlie?
It's tough. I'm going to level with you now. Everything in my head is screaming 4-3. And I don't know why, but I've got this gut for 4-3. However, you look at Bournemouth away from home, draw 0-0 with Luton. Obviously, you know, we spoke about that, and Luton had a good performance. Draw 0-0 with Swansea. Drew 2 with Rotherham. But then beat Barnsley 4-0, beat Bournemouth 3-1. 3-1. Oh, I don't know. Brentford do let goals in, though. There's going to be goals. I think there's going to be goals. I'm going to go for it. 4-3 Bournemouth. There you go. The break of not playing at Christmas, they're not going to be as leggy. Fit and fresh, 4-3.
I don't know. I really don't know. Bournemouth haven't conceded in 5 games, so you think, oh, they're going to keep a clean sheet, but it's going to end eventually, and Brentford's as good a time as any. Brentford haven't been as good at home. Bournemouth haven't been quite as good on the road. There've been a lot of draws at home for Brentford and a lot of draws on the road for Bournemouth, so I'm going to stick with a draw. I agree with Charlie that I think despite the good defensive records, there will be goals. And I'm going to go for 2-2, I think, because I haven't got any other better reason to go for anything else.
No, it's one of those. It's one of those you don't really want to pick either side to lose.
It could be any score, realistically.
Well, apart from Charlie, but yeah, this could be a really good game. And the final game, it is Swansea City versus Reading. Swansea creep up into the top 2 now, Charlie.
Yeah, they've been a reliable sort of bet, even though a few weeks ago I was saying that they're a bit unreliable, and that shows what I know about Championship football. But Reading, I know that they've been picking up the result here and there. Their away form isn't as good. They've drawn with teams like Millwall, Sheffield Wednesday. I just think Swansea will have to go there, and I would be expecting to get a win. And their last 2 wins at home, although they're drawn in between, last 2 wins at home have been 2-0. So I'm going to follow that pattern, 2-0 Swansea City.
Codes, Reading had so many players out, and they still produced 3 points.
Yeah, do you know what? They're having a decent season. I know it's disappointing after the start they've had, but given the players they've had out, they've done a really decent job. I don't think they'll have any of them back for this one, so no. I'm not sure that they'll make much of a difference. Swansea have got one of the best defences in the league. They've only let in 12 goals all season. 5 of their last 6 games they haven't conceded, but then that Derby game just threw everything. And that was on TV, wasn't it? Which made me think about this one. So, I don't know, Craig. I'm going to go for Swansea to win it. They're going to score 2 because they always do. But they're going to let one in. 2-1 to Swansea.
I agree with you, Codes, on Reading scoring 1. It's whether I go with 2, 1 or 3. Swansea are absolutely just quietly just gone up there into the top 2. Everyone's concentrating on Watford and Bournemouth and Brentford. And
Reading let in 4 against Bournemouth, remember? Just saying. 4-2.
Thank you for that. So Swansea, they've been obviously a lot of young players as well, and I'm gonna go with 3-1.
Yes, he's gone for it.
Swansea to win 3-1. And let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted for Matchday 22. Cody has copied me on Norwich versus Queen's Park Rangers. He's an absolute disgrace. We've all gone for the same scoreline of Preston to beat Coventry 1-0, which
That's more of a disgrace.
And Charlie's gone for 4-3 to Bournemouth at Brentford, which potentially could get them 20 points.
No, don't do that. That's not fair. It won't happen, but yeah.
And those are predictions for Matchday 22. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there and give us your predictions. Give this video a like, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.